Welcome in, everybody. This is the gut reaction to the Falcons podcast after the Atlanta Falcons' embarrassing loss to the Miami Dolphins, in which they were outclassed in every aspect of the game, from special teams, offense, defense, run game, run defense, pass game, pass defense, special teams. Did I say coaching yet? Because if not, I meant to. Coaching. The game is over. It feels like it's over. Does this feel like the beginning of the end to you? Because it certainly does for me, and that's kind of what we said coming in. We almost didn't want to speak it into existence. This was a game this team needed to win, coming in at 3-3, losing to the San Francisco 49ers, and even in the game, even their record at 3-3 was no great sin. That's a tough team on the road. Even just losing a game, it's week-to-week league. It happens. But the Falcons in their last two losses, the 49ers, they couldn't move the ball at all. They got skunked in Carolina in an embarrassing 30-0 loss. And this one was 34-10 in a game that didn't really feel that close. It's bad, y'all. It's bad. We can get into all kinds of things, and we will in this gut reaction. I want to say hello to some folks that have come in. As we help get this off your chest, get off your chest, you can ask me what I think. I'm going to ask you what you think, and we'll talk about this game and where the Atlanta Falcons go from here. Jay Scoom, he says, I called it. Yeah, I'm just tired. It's like, you get mad. I'm not mad. I'm tired. I'm tired of being wrong. I don't like being wrong. I'm tired of the up and down schizophrenic nature of this team where they go and beat a couple of NFL championship game participants handily. They go on the road and whip, another playoff team. And then they just the next week look totally and fully and completely unprepared. I give the ESPN crew some shtick about their record now. This would drop them to, they were 3-12 going into last week. I think they moved up to 5-13. This would make them 6-15 in their predictions. I don't know that I'd do any better. I mean, wouldn't most of us have predicted this win? There were 7-point favorites going in. Well, what about the injuries, Scott? What about the injuries, y'all? The injuries aren't an excuse. That team was beat up too. The 49ers were a mash unit out there. You've got the best backup in the league. We'll get in more into that here in a little bit too. I want to say hello to some folks who have come in. Dantes Jackson, thank you, my friend, for being a member. He's got that Falcons logo right next to his name as one of the members of the Falcons podcast. And yes, I said we'd go live. Hello, that's me. That's an old. I'm starting to feel like a fraud. That was like 10 years ago. I don't look that young anymore. I'm gonna have to get that changed. Ozark says the dirty birds indeed. And Rusty has been out on this hire ever since. I've said since day one we made the wrong hire with Raheem. And all of his coordinator hires have been horrible. Time to move on. We were going nowhere with this staff. I do like Ulbrich. I think he's done a good job with his defense. They didn't have a good game today. I've seen good things from Jeff Ulbrich. I think Ulbrich is a good defensive coordinator. So I will go with that one. Zach Robinson has regressed in a big way, has failed to adapt. He had the number 6 in total offense last year. Number 15 in scoring offense last year, and it's gotten significantly worse. There have been some injuries. We talked about some of the regression that might happen from some of the players. But as I've said before, if your offense is dependent on Darnell Mooney and Ray McCloud, when you've got a top 10 pick, a top 10 pick, a top 10 pick, and a top 5 pick at skill position players on offense besides those guys, and your offense is going to fall apart because you don't have Ray or Darnell Mooney healthy, then you don't have a very good offense. That's kind of what we've seen here. Corey, I hope you're doing well. He says, are you doing one in the morning too, Scott? Yeah, we'll be here in the morning. We'll call that one the aftermath. This one is the gut reaction. We'll do an aftermath tomorrow morning. Terry, again, he's got the laughing on here. If you can't laugh, you'd cry. You start to get something going at all, and Bijan bounces one off his knee. So you get a forced fumble for that too in the box score. He wasn't even touched. It's just bad. It is just bad. This was a low point in a team that's had a lot of low points. I feel like this is the lowest point of. We've been together doing this podcast together for 5 years since the beginning of Arthur Smith. This feels like one of the, if not the lowest point. For me, the lowest point was probably those back-to-back losses in 2023 to brand new quarterbacks or making their debuts when I said they should just leave Arthur Smith in Phoenix. That was a low point. This is right up there. How does it get better? That's the thing. I just improve. I want to always improve. Was Ulbrich an improvement over Jimmy Lake? Yes, he wasn't going to be worse. You get better, improve, always improve. Does anybody out there have the feeling that this team is going to get better as the season goes on? Do you have that confidence? Oh, we just need more timing. Michael Penix needs to get out there and he needs to get more rhythm and more experience. Do you think that's going to help? Do you think that's going to make this team better? Or do you think it'll continue to be the schizophrenic team that we've seen that will show up against New England and beat them next week, but then lose to the Saints? And not just lose. When they're losing, they look so unprepared. They're losing in just spectacular fashion. What does that come down to? Coaching from the top. It comes from the top down. Ain't no excuses, that's for sure. And Gabriel says, I can't do it anymore. JMP says, surely someone important has to be fired. Well, it's been awfully quiet with the Oklahoma State job title. And Zach Robinson was so smug in one of his, and I said, I wouldn't put this writing. I said this on one of the podcasts before. He was so smug and defiant in one of his press conferences about the predictability of his formations and what happens out of them. I'm like, dude, that's a dude that's already got his next gig lined up. Well, go. I just got done writing. I hit publish on the good thing was what we learned from this game was easy to write. I had most of it done in the third quarter. We learned that Raheem Morris is in trouble. Zach Robinson is toast. Kirk Cousins is a disaster and has been since the minute they signed him. And it's time for a change. Arthur Blank, he won't do it tomorrow. But unless there's some sort of miracle turnaround, and there are 9-10 games left, it's possible. I've been wrong all season about this team, whether it's going to be good or bad. It's possible. Sure doesn't feel probable that they can string together consistency enough to win 10 games. They're 3-4. So they'd have to go 7-3 down the stretch to win 10. Have you seen anything from this team that makes you think they can be consistent enough, well coached enough, mistake-free enough to do that? Because I haven't. And the only thing that you can predict is the unpredictability. I wouldn't want to be New England playing this team. Falcons are liable to go out there and beat New England. Beat Indianapolis Colts, who's 7-1 right now, or 6-1 right now. Beat them. And then fall on their faces the next week. If I was a good team, I would not want to play the Atlanta Falcons. If I'm a bad team, sign me up, baby. Sign me up. Something about playing to the level of your competition. That comes down to motivation and coaching as well, doesn't it? Let's see here. Larry, good to see you. Who's getting fired, Scott? What'd it do? Good to see him. I mean, I've said before, you can get away with sacrificing your coordinators once. Raheem already did that one time. He did that with Jimmy Lake, but he didn't do coordinators, plural. Who's he going to bring in midseason? Who are you going to bring in midseason if you sacrifice Zach Robinson? Who are they going to bring in? There's already an interim coach on staff who's done a pretty good job this year. Does Blank have the cojones to make a move like this midseason? I don't think so. I do not think so. So who gets fired? Kirk Cousins? Kirk? Oh, and Rusty, and this is what is bad. What's worse than being bad is being bad and not having a first-round pick. That's bad. With the 9th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select, oh, wait, I forgot. We traded for a dude who has no impact whatsoever. Yeah, someone tagged me on this. I don't know if they were being snarky about it or not. Saying, will everybody stand up and eat crow about the player that was chosen? And listen, I didn't come out and say James Pierce was going to be a miracle worker. I've never said that. I consistently say, you just don't know. Let's wait and see. If, ands, and buts, I don't know. What I have said consistently is I don't think that trading the second rounder and a future first was a huge overspend for number 26 and a third rounder that turned into Xavier Watts. I'll go to my grave with that one. Whether James Pierce ends up being a huge bust or not, I don't know. But I don't think the trying to fill a need and getting a player, I don't think it was necessarily a huge overspend that it was made out to be in national media. We'll see how it goes out. We never know. We never know on that. Corey says everything from here and for him is just a death march. Dead man walking. Is that kind of how you feel about it? What are the answers? Where are the big problems on this team that your head coach can step in and fix? He's not necessarily an offensive guy. He's coached some offense in the past, but is he going to step in and take over play calling? Is he going to hand it to TJ Yates, who's never called plays before in an NFL game? What's the answer? Michael Penix is going to come back. Oh, you had your quarterback was hurt and your wide receiver was hurt. Yeah, and you were supposedly kept Kirk Cousins because he was more valuable as a backup. What did I say all offseason about the best backup in the league? Guys who don't want to be there do not make great backups. And someone has said, rightfully, I don't know that they're wrong, Kirk Cousins is just toast, man. It's not whether or not he wants to be there or not. He's just bad. Okay, fine. I'm with that. Then why give him another $10 million and put him in a regular season game? Why isn't he gone? Cut your losses. Why are you not playing him in the preseason? Those are the things, the premeditated decisions like that make me mad. Why not play Kirk Cousins in the preseason? That's asinine. The guy hasn't played in almost a year, and it showed. Well, he was terrible anyway. It wouldn't have mattered. Well, then why is he here? Why are you paying him another $10 million? You can't figure that out in the year. You've got this scouting department. You can't figure out that he can't play, and you don't need to spend $10 million on him? The way he looks out there, though, he might contemplate retirement once he finally gets cut by the Falcons. He might contemplate retirement on that because who's going to bring Kirk Cousins in to be a starter next year? Even a 6-week bridge starter to your rookie quarterback like Russell Wilson has now become. Who's going to do that? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. Corey backing it in again. He says, the problem isn't Raheem, it's blank. Yeah. I don't say you're wrong on that. Everything after their decision to sign Raheem is just the result. Blank 6 coach is a bust again. 7 won't be better. That doesn't mean you don't keep trying, though. I don't feel like this is a Cleveland Browns Bill Belichick situation. Has Raheem shown you the acumen out there, the game day decision making, the challenge ability to look up at the board and say, oh yeah, you got the first down. Let's throw a challenge where you feel comfortable with him running the show? Do you feel like Raheem's the guy? He's just in a bad situation. I don't, so you got to try again. And the offense, can you blame blank for what you're seeing in the offense? Do you think it's because, they've done a poor job of acquiring talent? And, well, they've had injuries, Scott. I know they're on their 3rd right tackle, and they were on receivers 4, 5, and 6 today. You still got Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, and Kyle Pitts. That's more than some people have. And you've got the most expensive backup in the league out there. What was the excuse for San Francisco last week with a backup quarterback and their 3rd, 4th, and 5th wide receivers and their starting linebackers making his first appearance of the season because he's never played a game? What are there aren't any excuses. So for me, Corey, it's easy to say, okay, and I even put it in writing a few minutes ago. I published right before I came on. You can blame blank. You can blame the boogeyman, Rich McKay. But at this rate, there's a house cleaning coming. And whether or not you think it's going to help or not, it might not, but it's coming. It's coming. Blank's not going to fire himself, and Rich McKay's not involved. That's why I call him the boogeyman. Blank can't fire himself. There's a house cleaning coming the way this is going. How soon? Another game like this where they look completely unprepared, outcoached, outclassed, don't care. Miami Dolphins, that's what they looked like last week against the Cleveland Browns. They looked like they were done. And they came in here and just completely outclassed the Atlanta Falcons in what I put in the title right up here. An embarrassing loss. It's not that the loss, just like I said, the Carolina Panthers beating the Falcons isn't a fluke. And hell, beating them 30-0 might not be a fluke either, the way this team shows up from time to time.
This is a real good story about Bronx and his dad, Ryan, real United Airlines customers.
We were returning home, and one of the flight attendants asked Bronx if he wanted to see the flight deck and meet Captain Andrew.
I got to sit in the driver's seat. I grew up in an aviation family, and seeing Bronx kind of reminded me of myself when I was that age.
That's Andrew, a real United pilot.
These small interactions can shape a kid's future.
It felt like I was the captain.
Allowing my son to see the flight deck will stick with us forever.
That's how good leads the way.
It's not that they lost, it's how they lost. Y'all, it's how they lost and how unprepared they look that makes it embarrassing. I'm not embarrassed. I wasn't out there, but they should be embarrassed. And again, maybe I am a little embarrassed because I picked this team to win. I go on other people's podcasts and say, yeah, the Dolphins look like they're cooked, like they're not playing for McDaniel anymore, and the Falcons have played pretty good at home. And I look like a complete idiot. Maybe I am a little embarrassed. I don't like looking stupid. I do that enough on my own. Devron, good to see you. So the sad thing is, oh golly, we're sharing a brain here, brother. He says the sad thing is, what does Raheem excel at? Exactly. What's he going to step in and fix? I thought he was a great motivator. They look motivated. How do you get beat? What is that now? The garbage time touchdown to make it 34-10. That'd be 64-10. I can do that much math. 10 plus 0 is 10. 64-10 to the Panthers and to the Panthers and the Dolphins. There's no way I believe with these terrible letdowns this season. I'm with you. You can think that it'll never, ever get better as long as Arthur Blank is in charge. That doesn't mean you can just let this keep going. You can't. I don't think Raheem Morris is the guy. I didn't mind the hire. I really didn't mind the hire. I thought, okay, there were two guys 15 years ago that I absolutely could not stand that were young coaches, cocky, arrogant, blowhards that got humbled, and worked the way back up through. One was Raheem Morris. Oh, man, I couldn't stand him at Tampa Bay. 32 years old. He'd admit it, too. I was a punk kid. The other was Lane Kiffin. I love Lane Kiffin now. I love him. Couldn't stand him. I knew some guys that worked for him. Couldn't stand him. I like Raheem Morris with the Rams and what he did coming up for the Falcons. Humbled, learning. But it doesn't look like he's got it. The Peter principle doesn't look like he's good enough to be a head coach. It doesn't look like he's good enough to be a head coach right now. I'm with you, Devron. I'm with you. Stats are for losers, right? How about some of these stats? Miami Dolphins with the league's worst defense, 24-11 in first downs. The Falcons were 0 for 7 on third down before converting a 3rd and 1 in the fourth quarter. How about time of possession? 38 minutes time of possession to 22. 33 minutes leads the league. Penalties. One calling card the Falcons have been able to say is they were the least penalized team in the league. Now, they played one less game than everybody else, but even by yards, I think they were still the least penalized team in the NFL. They were giving up 38 yards a game in penalties. Hell, Felipe Franks had that many in penalties. What's 84 doing out there on special teams? Special teams. Oh, we got into this before. We've gotten into this more than once. The special teams have been a disaster for 2 years in a row, and Marquise is being held over. Clean house. It's got to be. It's a clean house. There's too much talent to fall flat on our face like this, Antonio. Antonio, thank you for the super, my friend. And there is, and yes, there are some big injuries out there. There are, okay? Zach Harrison has been one of the Falcons' best players on defense. He's out. Billy Bowman helps a whole hell of a lot in the run defense. He's out. LaCale London is one of the better run defenders. He's out. Mooney has been out all season. Ray McLeod is gone, and Drake London was out. Those are your top 3 receivers from last year. Well, they came out and spammed the ball to Kyle Pitts to begin with. Figured that out. Hey, let's jam Pitts at the line of scrimmage, and he's done. Now all I have to worry about is David Sills, Kaderil Hodge, and Casey Washington. Oh, and a guy who can't get him the ball anyway in Kirk Cousins. Anybody want to take back the Kirk Cousins is the best backup in the league thing? Because he ain't. And frankly, having a guy on your team that doesn't want to be there as your backup isn't the world's best idea. It goes way beyond that. Kirk Cousins has been mishandled since the day the ink dried on his contract. That's been mishandled. Keith Robbins, thank you for coming in, my friend. He's still got his googly-eyed Arthur Smith out there. What are the Steelers doing today? Are they even playing? Arthur Smith's doing all right over in Pittsburgh. That team just keeps winning. They might not win like they used to, but they keep winning. Good organization, Pittsburgh Steelers. Thank you for the super and for being a member. See that little Falcon next to your name up there, so appreciate it, my friend. And Corey coming in again. He says 28-3 in the San Francisco NFC Championship game loss make these days so much easier for me. I'm now made of Teflon when it comes to the Falcons. Yeah, I get it. That took a lot out of a lot of us as far as I don't fan nearly as hard as I used to. I never worked NFL as much professionally as I have the last 5 years, so I could still fan NFL. But that and the one that did it for me just as much, Corey, was them hiring Steve Sarkisian. He is number one on my list of people I do not like in sports. Number one on that list is Steve Sarkisian. That never needed to happen either. That dude has a professional ability to fall uphill that I've never seen before. Disgraced at USC for being a drunken sot and going into recruits' houses hammered. And he falls up. Oh, it's unbelievable, man. I don't get it. I want to say hello to some more folks that have come in here. Great skin coaching from Red Sandman. Rudy over there on Facebook. I said last week the run defense was a concern. It's absolutely a concern. And now it's starting to make the passing numbers look a little bit skeptical. I wasn't quite sure how to write it. If you read my article over on Falcons on SI, I said that the pass defense could look suspect. Fraudulent was the thing I started to use. And maybe the pass defense is okay, but if the team doesn't have to pass because they're running the ball down your throat, you cannot give up a lot of yardage and have the number one pass defense and still get your brains beat in. That's what it looked like today. They still only gave up how many total yards passing? It was 34-10. Tua had 4 touchdowns, so that helps use. That's why Nick likes using like DVOA and EPA and stuff like that. Because if you go and look at total yards passing, where the hell is the passing? There it is. Thank you. It's still under 200 to 197 yards. They're still going to be the number one pass defense after this week. 197 yards. Did it feel like the number one pass defense today? No, because they couldn't stop anybody running, and when they got close, then they'd have open shots passing ball. Dolphins only passed for 197. The run defense, it all works together. That I do believe a lot more in the defense's ability to play better than what we saw today, because we've seen it, and we know healthy they can do better. Now, speaking of the defense, did J.D. Bertrand come off the field? I don't blame players who aren't good enough for not being good enough. I didn't blame Stephen Means for being Stephen Means. I didn't blame Ogundeji for being forced out there as a rookie, and it's not J.D. Bertrand's fault that he's out there on every play. He's not putting himself out there. But my God, he's not good enough for this team. He's not. I'm not going to say he's not good. He might be a great NFL player one day, but right now he is a huge liability. You can't put him out there again. I don't know who decided it was a good idea. Jeff Ulbrich, Raheem Morris thought it was a good idea to go out there with we're going to play 67 plays, 65 plays with J.D. Bertrand on the field. You're almost better off with 10. And I don't mean that in a mean way. It's going to be mean, I know. But in soccer and hockey, you pull a player off, you play a man down. If there's nobody there, you have to cover for that. If there's somebody there that you're expecting to do a job and isn't, that's almost worse. You're almost better off with 10 than having J.D. Bertrand out there. As rough as that is to say, they're targeting him. Even when he makes tackles, he's pushed for 3 yards. And he's not making contact until they've already gotten 7. Something's going to have to change there. Ozark, I think I did see you see this. I called it a loser leaves town match, and it felt like that. They might have left Mike McDaniel. I wrote that in the preview this morning. They might have left McDaniel here in Atlanta, where he was on staff in 2015 and 2016 as a passing game coordinator. He's familiar. He knows his way around the bends. This is bad. Dev, over on, I don't know if you had come in. Is this still Devron and coming on YouTube too? He said, Scott, I've held off on joining folks, but appreciate you on X. Joining folks with the fire Raheem, but I can't deny it anymore. It's time. Yeah, it's, again, he'll probably get enough time to turn it around. But what are y'all thinking right now as far as, final record? 6-11? Does that sound about right? 7-10 again? After, what was it, 3 straight 7-10 years, or 2 straight 7-10 years? 21, 22, 23, 3 straight 7-10 years? Ugh. Poor boy Faya, he says, we had a choice between Bill and a clown. I'm not sure you had much of a choice there. Bill Belichick would have been a better NFL coach than, but he is not cut out for UNC. He is not cut out for the college game. My goodness, what a disaster of a hire that is. AD Zip says, you're never wrong, Scott. Good to see you, Adam. No, that's not true. The players have absolutely quit on him. He's lost the locker room, it seems. Brother, I'm wrong all the time. The only time I get mad is when I get accused of being wrong on stuff that I either have predicted and it hasn't come true yet, or people put words in my mouth for things I never said. Like, dude, I'm wrong enough that you don't have to make stuff up. There's plenty out there, I promise. Hell, I'll list them for you. I'm a good Irishman with a grudging memory. I remember a lot of them. Greg says, good to see you, Greg, over on Facebook. Should someone get fired? Absolutely. He absolutely should. Jeff, the schedule gets done getting easier. What's next? Well, here, I haven't watched the press conference yet, but I got a pretty good idea what it's going to be like. We got to go to work. We got to fix this. That's what we got to do, because that's what we do. That's what our jobs are, and we got to do our jobs. Thanks. What happened? We didn't run the ball and we couldn't stop the run. Okay. All done. I just summed it up for you. I'll still go through the 30 minutes of it or however long it takes, but I just summed the whole thing up for you. Terry's, thanks for being a member, Terry. I certainly appreciate it. He says, I want the coaches gone. Well, they're doing a pretty good job of that themselves, Terry. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. Ryan, thank you for being a member too. Appreciate it. He's a joke of a coach. He's a good guy. And I don't give a darn. Get him out of here. Yeah, he is somebody you want to root for. Not that you root against any of them, but there's some guys out there that are unlikable. Sean Payton. But you root for him because he's wearing your colors. I'll root for Raheem Morris no matter where he ends up. I like Raheem Morris. He is a likable human being. Just don't know that he's the right man for this job. That's for sure. We mentioned Bertrand on here. I'm not going to pile on too much again. I put it on X. I've got 2 accounts, y'all. On game days, I use Falcons SI, and I bounce back and forth a lot. But I have 2 X accounts. I have a lot more than that, but I have 2 that I use for Falcons. And I put on there, I'm like, listen, I don't blame Bertrand for not being good enough. It's an organizational failure that Bertrand is out there. You can't not go the whole time and say, yeah, that's our guy. Well, you weren't expecting Divine Diablo to get hurt. He's still your number 3. You're expecting him to play. He's going to get time. He's 1 injury away from playing. You got to do better than that. I promise you there are guys on practice squads around the other 31 teams that are linebackers that are better than him. I would bet my career on it. That's your job. It's an organizational failure that JD is out there for 65 plays. It's bad. The Super Cantor says, what are the odds the coaching staff is in Germany? What are the odds they make it back? Oh man, the only and that's where in 2 weeks. So they got to get through New England first. Play on the road. They've been pretty bad on the road, except for the game against Minnesota. And Drake May's playing a hell of a lot better than JJ McCarthy did that day. And Ray Todd Smith says the only winner today is Zach Robinson's realtor. Yeah, again, the lifespan of an offensive coordinator is almost always 2 years anyway, because either they're good and they get hired, they get a promotion somewhere, or they're bad and they get fired. And then they end up a quarterback's coach somewhere else and try and work their way back up the ladder again. So 2 years. So the idea of, hey, we want to draft Penix and get him in the Robinson system so he's ready when he's ready to be a starter. Well, that's 3 years down the road was the plan, because Kirk was supposed to be the starter for 2 years. He's not going to play for Robinson. Well, he is this year. Oh, and Greg says, I'm embarrassed. And yes, I went through a lot of the stuff as I was writing what we learned from this game. I didn't write a lot about Zach Robinson, honestly, because it felt repetitive. It's like, yeah, we know. I just put one line in there about, the Oklahoma State job, and Falcons fans would chip in for his buyout and help him pack. I just felt like it's obvious. We know the offense is terrible. This is now more about a step up. And what about Raheem Morris? What about Terry Fontenot? Terry Fontenot, this is his 5th year on a team that looks like it's about to have his 5th straight losing season. Well, it's not all his fault, and Rich McKay and all this. Listen, okay, fine. It doesn't matter. If I walked into that job in 2021 and said, here's my 6-year plan, we're going to have a winning season. We're going to lose for 5 straight years. But in our year 6, we're going to be ready. We're going to have all this worked out. Salary cap problems, draft. Year 6, that's it. We're going to go to the playoffs. Would I have ever been hired? Hell no. 5 years is a lifetime in the NFL. It's a generation, at least half of one. They're going to clean house, man. Unless there's some sort of miracle turnaround, they are going to clean house the way this is going. They're not going to get 3 years. That's typical, because this wasn't a 3-year project. Terry Fontenot inherited a 3-year project. 2021, fix some salary cap stuff, draft your unicorn tight end. 2022, cut the salary cap down. You get rid of Julio. This all didn't happen in 2022. Julio, Matt Ryan, eat all that money in 2022. 2022. Deion Jones, eat all that money. Spend big in free agency in 2023. That was the year. That was year 3 for Fontenot. Fell flat on their faces because of the quarterback situation. Trini, he's back too. I've been slow to be on the Raheem calls, but I'm with you. Oh man, and Ray Moon says, Raheem's got to go because Z-Rob was his hire. So was Jimmy Lake. If you're gonna be, it's okay to be a CEO style of head coach if you're making the right hires. If I'm surrounding myself with great people, it's okay. I don't have to call plays. I don't have to just organize and make sure that everything is running well. When nothing's running well, what the hell am I doing here then? It's bad. It's bad. And as I'm not sure I want to read that out loud. It seems like it would come off poorly. So, F-Tone, it's time. It's time. Let me see here. Looks like I got at least one more. Here we go. Corey, you got a couple supers coming back in. Jerry Gray will be my choice for the new head coach. He's mean, plus he's the assistant head coach now. We need some mean. How far has he ever gone? Has he ever even been a coordinator? And I still feel like you got to go offense. Golly. They tried that with sort of. Under blank, they went offense. I don't even count Bobby Petrino. I really don't. But they went offense. Who was his first hire? Mike Smith, defensive coordinator. Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator. Jim Mora, defensive coordinator. Arthur Smith, offensive coordinator, but an old school run the ball smash mouth offensive coordinator. That's almost like a defensive coordinator. Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator. Brother, don't they have to go offense at some point? So you're not losing these guys. Dan Quinn with Kyle Shanahan was a hell of a combination. Mike Smith was a really good head coach. In fact, winningest coach of all time for the Atlanta Falcons. Don't they have to go offense, man? If I've got Michael Penix and he's my future, don't they have to go offense? Terry says, why are they always in the I formation? It's not working in the pistol. So the I kind of looks like an I because it's a shotgun, but in the pistol is a shotgun with the dot, with the with it behind him. It's and again, I haven't studied the formation enough to know this is why it works, why it doesn't work. What I do know is if you're run or pass nearly 100% of the time out of a specific formation, I'm already tipping my hand. What do they say is the hardest thing to do in sports? Hitting a baseball? Gets a little easier if you know a fastball is coming. Doesn't mean you can do it, but it gets a little easier. What about playing offense when you're tipping your hand? Hey, we're running it. We're running it. We're running it. They're running it. They're in the pistol. They're running it. And if not, they're not throwing it to anybody anyway because they don't throw it more than 5 yards. It's dreadful. I don't think this offense is predictable at all. We go based on what the defense is telling us. I couldn't believe he said that. I talked to a lot of defensive coordinators, and they say it causes them a lot of problems. So we're going to go with what the defense is telling us. My God, man. I'm going to go study. I'm going to let my enemy tell me what to do. Yeah. Was it one of the guys on your schedule, by the way, Zach? Good Lord, man. Corey, thanks again. Get your brown paper bags put over your head. I may wear one in my own house while watching next Sunday. I travel a lot on weekends with my kids' sports, which is almost done. It's like 4 more years, but that goes fast when you're my age. So I'm not always around on Sundays. That's why I've never done these before, the gut reactions. I'd love to do them. I mean, we've got 600 people watching right now. I love it. Thanks for being here, y'all. But I'm not always around. I'm here next weekend too. The weekend after that, will be in the Air Force Academy. How cool is that? Going to visit the Air Force Academy in 2 weeks. So I won't be here for that Sunday when they're in Germany. So golly, maybe I will be here because it'll be on like 5 a.m. So I love to do these. And I'm not always around, but you don't need your brown bag.
Introducing Meta Ray-Ban Display, the world's most advanced AI glasses. With a full color display built into the lens of the glasses, it's there when you need it and gone when you don't. Send and receive messages, translate or caption live conversations, collaborate with Meta AI, and more. Be one of the first to try Meta Ray-Ban Display. Visit meta.com/Meta Ray-Ban Display to book a demo and find your pair.
The Falcons fans that were there, I don't necessarily like booing amateurs, but even at the college level, those guys are pros now. Pros deserve it. It wasn't the Dirty Birds at halftime. It was the Boo Birds. And Falcons fans who showed up today, you're okay by me if you threw some Boo Birds down at what you saw out there. It was well earned. And Laddie Man 94, he says, year 5 of the 3-year plan. Trust the process, Scott. Exactly. There will be people, again, you can't please everybody, and not everybody's going to agree with people. There will be people say, no way does Terry Fontenot get fired. This isn't his mess. Why not? How long do you get? 5 years, like I said, is a lifetime. How long do you get to not have a winning season? That's the general manager. Well, he's not the one who hired Raheem Morris. He doesn't even answer. He's right. You're right. 5 straight years without a winning season. He's never had a winning season. He hasn't built up any capital. We won't mention he's a former Saint. But again, that's how I try and put it, how I try and explain it to people that are like, well, why would you think this is Terry? Again, if I went in and said it's going to take me 6 years to get a winning season, would you have hired me? Well, then shouldn't I be fired after 5 straight losing seasons? Probably. Corey, you're killing it today. Give me your faith in blank to get the 7th head coach on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being none. 5, average. The culture buster. That's the thing. It's like, we're afraid that we've got a really good family culture here, and we're afraid that Bill Belichick would have come in here and ruffled some feathers. No pun intended on that one. Now I will say it. By God, Arthur, Mr. Blank. He'd be Mr. Blank to me. It's time to ruffle some freaking feathers. This team is on its worst stretch since I was a kid. And the 80s were worse than this because there was absolutely no hope. Blank will spend the money, will invest, is at least trying. If he's failing, the Smiths didn't even try. They were just cashing checks. I do believe Blank cares, but he's got to upset some people. If you're upset by someone coming in who's going to do things a little differently, then it's time for someone else to come in and do things differently. It's not working. It's not with the same old is not working. We don't want to upset the culture. What is the culture right now? The culture's been established. We're 2017 since a winning season. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. If you've got an 8-year-old kid, how long does it seem that they've been in your life? Your whole life, right? Can't even picture life without them. 8 years has been since the Falcons have had a winning season. The culture needs to be upset because the culture ain't working. The culture has been established, and it's a losing culture right now. You got to upset some people, Corey. Guy, good to see you. Feels like a newer name. Certainly appreciate it. He says, I've been supportive of Raheem, but after this game and the Carolina game, the entire staff's got to go. Real name is Alan, by the way. Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Alan. My real name is Scott. Actually, that's not even my first name. Scott's my middle name. I go by my middle name, which can be a pain in the ass. Supportive of Raheem, we all are. He's, like I said, he's a likable person. We want him to succeed. Nobody's going in. You can have your doubts, but you'd be happy to be wrong, wouldn't you? You know, I have my doubts. I make predictions. I analyze. I predict bad things sometimes. Doesn't mean I want them to come true. We've all been supportive of Raheem Morris. Nobody wants him to fail. Fine. Even if it was somebody I didn't like. Steve, no, I couldn't root for Steve Sarkisian. I'd pick somebody else. I might just boycott the NFL if he was the head coach of this team. I wouldn't let my son play for him. But for the most part, you don't even have to like the coach. Like I've said, Nick Saban, I love Nick Saban. I've always loved Nick Saban. I've always loved Steve Spurrier because they're genuine. They might be, I can't use a bad word on here without getting flagged by YouTube. Nasty people, hard to deal with, but they're genuine. They're genuine people. Ugh. It's frustrating, y'all. I know it is. I know it is. I know you're frustrated. I'm frustrated with it. I'm frustrated for you. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and start working my way up a little bit. Ken, go to the local high school and you could find a better head coach and offensive coordinator. Well, Ken, funny you should say that. I live in the Johns Creek High School school district. I swear I'm a curse. I'm an only child, which explains a lot. And you grow up with everything kind of revolving around you. And then you see stuff like this and you go, I'm a curse. I know it's me. Johns Creek High School has been outscored 482-0. They're the only team in Georgia Athletic High School, GAHS, GHL, whatever it is, to not score a point. So I might have to go outside of my local high school on this one because they're considerably worse. They had 90 kids in their program 2 years ago. They're down to 40. They've got 9 players in their junior and senior classes that have been with this guy he's got a 25-game losing streak. He's 1-28 and has been outscored 482-0. I put that on it's like blowing up on my X account, my Scout Kennedy X account. They, Milton, nationally ranked Milton, kicked a field, iced the kicker. They were going to kick a field goal. They're up 57-0, and they iced the kicker, about to give up the first points of the year. And they celebrated like they won the game after he missed it. I don't blame him. Nobody wanted to give up the first points of the year. On that note, Kent Gruden, coach, we've seen his name come up a few times. Terry says, God bless the kids at Johns Creek. Gotten hard to play football through all those golf courses and country clubs. Yeah, I know. It could be worse for sure, but I can't find a better head coach at my I can, but they're in the stands at my local high school. What has Gruden done to get a head coaching job? He's won in the past. He has, but no, Gruden's not going to be the head coach of this team. There's no way Arthur Blank would do that. Let's see here. Marshawn talking about Zach Robinson. Good to see Marshawn over on Facebook. So we even moved Zach Robinson to the sideline. It's still the same old. It's pretty bad. It is. It's bad. And the thing is, you start feeling like hopeless, you know? I mean, hope is such a big thing. It probably started when I was a kid with Greek mythology, you know, Pandora's box. All the fates escaped except one, hope. Hope was held back because if hope was escaped and there was no hope in the world would have ended. My daughter's middle name is Hope. One of my favorite movies is Shawshank Redemption. The whole thing is hope. I got into recruiting, into the NFL draft because it's hope. Hope for the future. Hope it's going to get better. Hope for tomorrow. And right now, where do you feel as an Atlanta Falcons fan watching this team? Hopeless. And that's about as bad as it gets. It is. I understand. It's about as bad as it gets, Austin. Yet you've got no hope on it. And that's the worst thing. That's worse than being bad. It is. Now, how can you get better? Regime change. Personnel standpoint, this team's got to go for receivers. They have to. They're down to Drake London. Darnell Mooney's cooked. Ray McLeod's gone. The Falcons went out there with Kaderil Hodge. Why do you go out there what do they call it? 11 personnel? Why do you go out there with 3 wide receivers and a tight end when your 3 wide receivers are Kaderil Hodge, Casey Washington, David Sills? Why isn't Charlie Warner one of those guys? Why am I not going 2 backs and 2 tight ends with Charlie Warner and Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson and getting a little creative? I mean, that's the stuff that drives me crazy. It's the premeditated stuff that bothers me as much as anything. It's like you had time to think about this, and you went out there with Kaderil Hodge, who I love, by the way, on special teams, Falcons legend, Casey Washington and David Sills, and then wonder why you can't run the ball. Because they get paid to play too, and they're gonna put 11 guys into your backfield. Just terrible. It was just completely outcoached, outclassed, outprepared. It's in the title. It's an embarrassing. Everybody involved with that team right now should be embarrassed. Who can let's say who can hold their head high? I didn't watch the offensive line that much. Who can hold their head high coming off that team? I thought David Onyemata played a decent game. I thought Caden Ellis played a decent game. That's about it. That's about it. I think Leonard Floyd played a decent game. That's about it. Yeah, Darnell Mooney. Again, he's Terry. Darnell's done. He's been banged up, injured, and a complete non-factor this season. Will it get better? Will it be too late? Trade bait. You know, someone put on there after I made the joke, bad joke, I know. Does Bijan Robinson get a forced fumble for that play? Would you trade him for a first? Bijan's got 2 years left on his contract. He is a running back. You don't have a first-round pick next year, and you're looking at what amounts to be a starting over next season, building. Would I take a first-round pick for Bijan Robinson, knowing he's probably going to get $20 million in a couple of years, knowing I got to pay Drake London, knowing I need some more young players at premium positions? Would I offer Tyler Algier a contract now and trade Bijan for a first? Probably not. But I crossed my mind. I'd pick up the phone, make me an offer I can't refuse. It'd have to be the new GM, though. Not going to happen before the trade deadline, that's for sure. Oh, D played okay. D Alford. The big problem you have with D Alford out there, Jay Scoom, is the run defense. Billy Bowman has made a difference, but he's basically playing an outside linebacker, and is that too much for his body? He's been hurt since week 4. He's playing an outside linebacker edge position. Is that too much for him? Babs, Scott would make an awesome coach. I wouldn't make an awesome coach. I do not know enough about coaching. I would be a good assistant. I could help. I wouldn't want to be the head general manager, maybe. That was always my dream. I wanted to be a general manager, but I was not focused enough as a kid and didn't really know the path. I do now. My kid can do those things. I would go general manager on this, and I would be overseeing. I would hire, and I'd feel good about my ability to scout football players. I am confident in that, and manage a salary cap and get value for players on that. So I certainly appreciate it, Pabs. Zach Hubbard coming in with a super chat. Thank you, my friend. So I flew from Kansas City for this game. Lucky for me, FYI for all the Penix haters, he's not the problem. This coaching staff is dog water fire. Is dog water. Wait, they're bad. Any chance they get fired within the next few games? Yeah, there's a chance. Do I see it happening? Probably not. Probably not. If there is anything to the Zach Robinson to Oklahoma State stuff, and I haven't followed up enough on it to know, oh no, that's Scott, you're way out of touch with this. Oklahoma State's going this direction. I don't know. I still see Zach Robinson's name come up. He might be escorted out the door. Take it, dude. You don't have to stick around on our account. Take it. You're obviously distracted. Take it. And Penix haters, I don't know. I think, Zach, I truly believe, back me up on this in the chat, nobody's going to like everybody. I mean, everybody's not going to like everybody. There's going to be haters for everybody. I think those are the very, 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 very minority of people that fall into the everybody's got haters crowd. Who's ready to give up on Michael Penix? And criticizing Michael Penix for things that he can improve on, which we have done and we will continue to do, doesn't make us haters. And I know you weren't calling me a hater. He needs to get better at things. That's not a hot take. That's why they practice. So I think I don't think anybody's out on Penix yet. And he needs better weapons. He needs better right tackle. He needs better offensive coordinator. He needs to be put in better situations. All of those things. Terry says Scott's fault. He had 0 tackles today. I mailed it in. I really did. An injured Penix plays better than hold on 1 second. Good looking Scott Peter North here. I know who Peter North is. I was at the 50, huge Falcons fans. They looked horrible. Thanks, Peter North. I know who Peter North is. If it's the real Peter North, congratulations, you were epic. Penix plays better than Kirk. I don't want him out there hurt, dude. Not for this team. No way. And he would have been better. I mean, he's been pretty immobile anyway. It's not like he runs around. It's not like his legs were out there, right? He's not immobile. He plays immobile. He doesn't run. He doesn't scramble. They don't waggle. They don't boot. They don't roll out. They don't do any of those things with Penix. He's a statue more so than Kirk was last year. So he didn't need his legs. And yeah, he would have been better. I don't want him out there. I don't want him out there for this staff, this season, right now, risking worse injuries. The worst, I've broken probably a dozen bones in my body. Of course, my life, probably a few more than that, between fingers and ankles and wrists and everything. The worst, by far, the worst pain I've ever been in my entire life was a hyperextension of my knee where my knee snapped together and I got bone bruises on insides of both of my knees. The absolute worst pain, worse than both broken ankles, both broken wrists, all of it. Just awful. So I don't want him out there. I don't want to risk him. They should have gotten rid of Kirk Cousins in the offseason. They absolutely should have. Aaron Killingsworth, good to see you with a good question. He says, do we go wide receiver early in the draft next year? And what's the chances of Algier staying on the team? The chances of him coming back are going to be pretty low. I think he's going to be in the 8 to 10 million range. And if you've got Bijan Robinson there, you can't put $20 million knowing that you're going to have to put another $10 million into Bijan Robinson soon into the running back room when you've got so many holes somewhere else. And yes, I believe you go wide receiver early in the draft. You should have some money. You're going to have to pay a lot of that money to Drake, but with the cash that Arthur Blank is willing to spend in signing bonuses to ease the salary cap issues, you might be able to get a decent deal on Drake for the first year and allow to get some help. But second round pick looks like it should be in the 40s somewhere. You can get a good wide receiver at 40, but you got to go offensive tackle too. And at some point, by God, they've got to go corner again. They haven't gone day one or day two at cornerback since AJ Terrell, and it shows. It shows out there. Run it up, Jackson. The DC needs to be promoted to head coach. My text messages with my friends say the same thing. Just make Jeff Ulbrich the interim and get it over with. I don't see it happening. I really don't. Dirty Bird Star, you're a member. Thank you so much for being a member of the Falcons podcast. If you're not a member, it's the great way to support. Check the link, like it says going around here on the scroll. Become a member of the Falcons podcast. Check the link in the description. You can click on it. I do members only stuff, including videos, hot takes to breaking news. I do this during the week. Special shout outs for guys who get to like Dirty Bird Star. Just a way to support the podcast and some of the things we do. I'm about to get out of here. We're coming up on an hour. I want to make sure that we're putting up some content on the page. I want to see how my story is doing. Check it out on falconsi.com. Actually, I'm going to put a link in here real quick. If you see it on Facebook or Twitter or anything like that, and yes, I shamelessly put JD Bertrand on the cover because I didn't have a good one of Raheem Morris. Poor JD. I put him on the cover of it. That was what I wrote on there. A lot of it's going to be a tamer version of what you see in here. I'll let loose a little bit more, and I'm a little more conservative on SI. It's the week we try to go pass heavy for some reason. Or couldn't hit it. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. It was bad enough. Looking back at some of the predictions I made in the offseason about just a one-away guy being a bad choice for a backup. You're not getting the best from him during the week. You're not getting the best from him during practices. I saw that during training camp. This isn't true, but I'm not saying this happened, but it crossed my mind. Do you think Kirk's laughing his way over there as he's stinking it up? I don't. But I've got 10 voices in my head, and that was one of them. This is Kirk's revenge. It crossed my mind. Kirk showed why he should have been traded. Actually, run it up, Jackson. Kirk showed why he couldn't get traded. Falcons wanted the money back for him, probably $15 to $20 million. Who was getting him $15 to $20 million? Kirk showed why they couldn't trade him. Now, why they decided to eat another $10 million, not play him in the preseason to knock off some of the rust, I don't know. And Dirty Bird Star, $100 million. Yeah. $100 million is what he got. Christy Tyler, another member coming in. What team is going to be Bijan's Eagles that saves him from a bad team to win a Super Bowl with him? They let Saquon walk, didn't they? To be fair, how many guys in recent memory, Brett Favre immediately comes to mind. How many guys have left the Falcons and just gone on to be stars? Julio Jones? Nope, he was washed. Matt Ryan? Nope, he was done. Deion Jones? Nope, he was done. Grady Jarrett? I don't think he's even played in a month, y'all. I meant to write that up. Revisiting the decision to cut Grady Jarrett. He missed 3 straight games. I don't think he's been nothing. Grady Jarrett? Nope. Russell Gage? Fair, but no. The linebacker had a couple pretty good years up in Green Bay. I don't remember his name. Y'all can probably help me out on that. Bijan is super talented, though. He is supremely talented. Blank will pay him. This isn't the if Deion Sanders had been playing under Arthur Blank, he would have been a Falcon for life. Bijan will be here as long as he wants to. Yeah, that's why I say in recent memory, as far as Deion. So he played 4 years in Atlanta, and then was gone. So Brett was they got a first-round pick for Brett. They drafted him in the second. He partied his way through his rookie season, and they got a first-round pick for him. That was a good deal. It's unfortunate they drafted Tony Smith. Who? Yeah, right. He had about 600 yards of career yardage on there. Yeah, the Oluokun had a good deal, but that one, Terry, Foye wasn't on the Falcons. That was when I ran through earlier in the show about the progression of Terry Fontenot's first 3 years. He left in, I think, 2022 when they were broke. They had to cut like $40 million of payroll just to sign their rookie draft class. Baroque. And Foye got like $15 million a year from the Jacksonville Jaguars on that one. That was a good one. The Chiefs need a running back. Yeah, and that's where I thought I wrote it up about Tyler Algier. His trade value might be better. In fact, I'm sure of it. His trade value would be better in October than it was in March before the draft. Anybody that needed a running back was going to take one in a running back rich draft. Come October, things may be different. If they're going to trade Tyler, now might be the time. Why not get something for him? If they've got this game, because I said it looks like at worst they'd be 4-4. Now at worst they're 3-5 at the trade deadline. I'm picking up the phone for Tyler Algier. If you can give me a mid-round pick, 4th. Oh, he's worth more than that. No, he's not. He's not with 6 months left on his contract. Half a season left on his contract. No, he's not. So if I could get a 4th for him, I'd take it. I love him. Trust me, I'm as big a Tyler Algier fan as you'll ever find. Running backs on expiring contracts are not worth a lot in draft picks. Nate Landman, he was allowed to walk. Chrissy, that's a good one. That's why you're a member here. Nate Landman, they love him out there in LA. To be fair, Nate Landman signed a 1-year deal with $50,000 of guaranteed money. That's where his stock was at when he left. They signed him to a let's see if you can make the team kid. The Rams did. He's had a good one. And Jake talking about he says, I don't want Terry doing one more move for this team and Rich McKay needs to be fired. Raheem is a pathetic head coach. Zach runs a middle school offense. You've pretty much covered it all. I don't think Rich is involved really in this team. After they hired Raheem, Rich was moved off day-to-day things with the Atlanta Falcons. I don't think he's involved. I don't think he would be involved in another coaching hire. And like I said, clean house. I think that is the path that we are on. Listen, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate there's so many of you coming in today. If you're new here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and get your notices when we do things like this, because this is an unscheduled podcast. Our regularly scheduled program will be back tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. The Aftermath will be cool on us. I have a feeling I'm pretty consistent when it comes to how I feel about things. We're not going to be cooled off a whole hell of a lot tomorrow. In fact, I might be more pissed off tomorrow morning. So don't miss it. We'll be back tomorrow with Nick at 8:30 in the morning. I want to thank Rusty for coming in. It was super. Corey several times. Devron coming in. That was you. You came in on X and YouTube. Thank you. Thank you, Dev. Antonio, appreciate you, my friend. Keith, thank you for the super chat. Terry, thank you for being a member as well. Lottie-Man, 94. Alan, thank you. Zach, thank you so much. I'm going to get out of here. There's plenty of other great content creators out there. Go look around. I think you're going to find a lot of like-minded people today. They're ready for a change because this can't continue the way it's going. And there's not a whole lot of hope of it getting better. And when that happens, it's time for a change. I appreciate y'all being here. Sam, I just saw you pop in. Good to see you. Hope you were doing well. I'm going to get out of here, watch some Broncos and Cowboys. I will see you in the morning. I hope you all have a great rest of your Sunday afternoon. Thanks for being here, everybody.